you ever felt that chill down your spine that seems like a warning? I felt it that night. My name is Lucas, and this is the story of how my life changed forever. It all started with a stupid bed in a house that seemed alive, a house that never slept. It was a foolish idea, but irresistible. My friends said it would be fun to explore that abandoned house on Hollow Street. They were wrong. I should have said no, but the fear of looking cowardly was greater. The house swallowed us. As soon as we crossed the threshold, everything changed. The air was heavy, as if something invisible was watching us. Every step we took was accompanied by an echo that didn't seem to belong to us. And then, things began to happen. We had barely started exploring when something went wrong. One of the doors that had been opened was now locked. I asked if any of them had done it, but before they could answer, we heard a laugh. Low but unmistakable. We decided to split up, a decision I would regret forever. I went to the attic alone while the others went down to the basement, but when I reached the top of the stairs, I felt I was not alone. That's when I saw it, a note pinned to the wall. You shouldn't be here, Lucas. My heart raced. How did they know my name? And why did it sound like the others were screaming in the basement? When I got to the basement, my friends were gone. In their place, there were only mirrors. And in each reflection, I see myself. But it wasn't me. It was a distorted version smiling while I screamed. I ran, but the house felt endless. Every door I opened led me back to the same place. And then I realized I was no longer in the house. I was trapped in it forever. And that's how I ended up here, telling my story, hoping that someone someday can rescue me from this house. Because while you're listening to me, it continues to watch me.
My name is Daniel. I don't usually talk about this, but I feel like I need to. A few years ago, I moved out of the house I grew up in Austin, Texas. That day, I went back to get the last few boxes. Among them was the box of my mother's photographs. It seemed like a simple task, but it wasn't. Something felt off that night. The house seemed different, like it had aged more than it should have since the last time I was there. As soon as I opened the door, that familiar smell hit me. Mold, old wood, and a hint of something more bitter. A smell that shouldn't have been there. The hall was empty, but I felt like I was being watched. Every step I took made the floor creak louder than I remembered. Maybe it was my mind playing tricks on me. Or maybe not. The silence was heavy, more than usual, as if the house was holding its breath along with me. I kept walking through the corridors, trying to ignore the faint noises, creaks, slight cracks. But I knew something wasn't right. I reached my parents' bedroom door. It was locked, as always. I had the key, but something held me back. A strange, almost childish feeling told me not to open it. Still, I tried. The key turned in the lock, but the door wouldn't budge. It felt like something was keeping it shut from the other side. I stepped back, frustrated, and that's when I saw it. Out of the corner of my eye, a shadow moving across the hallway. My heart raced. It couldn't be anything, right? Maybe an illusion. But something in the air changed. I felt exposed, like I was being watched from all sides. I decided to leave. I grabbed my phone immediately, and as I started walking back through the corridor, I heard it. A faint sound, like a whisper, or maybe footsteps. I didn't wait to find out. I ran through the front door. My hands were ice cold. The darkness of the night felt even more oppressive. I sprinted toward my car, parked just around the corner. Every step echoed as if someone was running right behind me. My legs felt like they were giving out, but I kept running. When I finally reached the car, my hands were shaking so much I nearly dropped the keys. I started the car and sped away as fast as I could. I stopped at a gas station and called the police. I couldn't just leave it like that. When the officers entered the house, they discovered it wasn't empty. 2 homeless people had been hiding inside for weeks, living in what was left of the basement. And the scariest part, they admitted to watching me the entire night. One of them said that while I was trying to open the bedroom door, he was standing right behind me, hidden in the darkness. I never went back to that house. The box of photographs stayed there, along with whatever else I left behind. And to this day, when I think about that night, I wonder, what if I had stayed longer? What if I had opened that door? I'd rather not know. Some doors are better left unopened.
I've always loved the outdoors. Camping was my escape from the noise of the city. This weekend, I joined a small group of hikers in the dense, sprawling Pinecrest woods. The air was cool, the campfire warm, and laughter filled the night. Late in the evening, I decided to explore a nearby stream alone. I assured my friends I'd only be gone a few minutes. With my flashlight in hand, I wandered deeper into the woods, the gurgling stream leading me farther than I intended. When I decided to turn back toward camp, I quickly realized I didn't recognize the way. My flashlight began to flicker, casting eerie shadows on the towering trees. Panic set in as the woods grew darker, their silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. I yelled for my friends, but my voice seemed swallowed by the vast forest. Hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. I couldn't tell. My sense of direction betrayed me, every turn looking identical to the last. Then I saw it, a faint flickering glow through the trees. Relief washed over me. It had to be the campfire. I quickened my pace, tripping over roots and fallen branches in my haste. As I got closer, I began to hear voices, soft murmurs I couldn't quite make out. Breaking through the clearing, I found the fire. But something was wrong. The camp was there, the fire crackling as I remembered, but the figures sitting around it were strangers. Their backs were to me, their clothes tattered and wrong, like they belonged to another time. One by one, they turned to look at me, their faces pale and empty, their eyes unblinking black voids. My breath hitched as I stumbled back, my flashlight flickering out completely. The figures rose from the logs, moving toward me without a sound, the fire growing unnaturally bright. Terrified, I turned and ran, my screams echoing through the woods. This time, the trees seemed to guide me. I broke free of the forest, collapsing into my friend's camp, where they stood, wide-eyed, rushing to my side. "You were gone for hours," one of them said, shaking me. "We were about to call for help." I tried to explain, but my words jumbled. I turned back toward the woods, pointing. The glow of the other campfire was gone. All that remained was darkness, and a strange, suffocating silence that seemed to press against the trees. When I finally dared to close my eyes that night, the hollow faces I had seen around the Wrong Campfire lingered in my mind. The next thing I knew, I woke up in my sleeping bag, surrounded by the warmth of the morning sun. My friends teased me about how soundly I'd slept and how vivid my nightmares must have been. I laughed it off, but the fear clung to me. The campfire, the shadows, the faces. They had felt too real. Even now, I'm not sure if it was a dream or something more, but I've never